Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sweatable podcast. My name is Brooks Herbis, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you simplify and make sense out of the all too confusing fitness and nutrition industry. Let's be real, there's a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change. But I'll also be sharing real-life practical application because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can actually apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast. And pulling back the curtain, this is the final, very pre-recorded podcast episode in this series. Typically, I record episodes week of or, the week before, just so that they're very fresh. It's a topic that I typically, have been receiving a lot of questions or content about, but I am about to head back to the Midwest. If you are listening in real time, I'm actually heading back to Denver at this point. And I wanted to get ahead of these podcasts so that you guys were still getting content while I was gone, but I could take a little bit of time to step back from content creation and spend some more time with my family. Because honestly, I have not really done that this year. I have kind of just been in this go state for the entire year. I haven't really taken any longer periods of time off. I've taken like random Fridays here and there for bachelorette parties, but I haven't really taken much time to step back. Honestly, I haven't felt the need to. I've had a lot of really exciting things going on. And while I'm home, I'm still going to be, taking care of my clients, making sure that they are all set up, good to go. It's, easy to kind of work on the go, which I love, but also have just been needing more of a break from creating all of this content. So I'm excited to be able to do that. And I appreciate that this is something that I can do in advance so that you guys aren't left hanging even when I'm home. But if you are listening in real time, this episode is really dropping at the perfect time, the perfect season, because if you're here in the US, we are about to head into Labor Day weekend. And honestly, this time of year, I tend to see, I'm like already seeing it in my DMs with some of my clients. I'm seeing this like reinvigoration of your health and fitness goals. Summer, as we know, can just be a really challenging time to lose weight. We have a lot of social events going on. It feels like people have a lot more that they're doing that's surrounding food and alcohol, and we just feel a lot busier. But now with kids going back to school, those social events kind of winding down, it finally starts to feel like you're getting back into some routine. Like I have heard that so many times the past few weeks that you guys are craving being back in a routine. You're excited to be back in a routine. A lot of my clients too are teachers, so they're excited to feel like they have a daily routine again. Truly, you're just ready to hone in a little bit more on your health and fitness goals again. But in order to do that and to really start to see some progress in these final few months of the year, it's important to address one thing. And that thing is maybe why you're feeling this sense of reinvigoration, this sense of wanting to get back into things, this like sense of like, I'm ready to like dial and go all in. It's the fact that you feel like you are always starting over. Whether it's every Monday in the summer you felt like you were starting over, or maybe it's at the start of new seasons like right now. If you constantly feel like you are starting over at square one, you're going to have a really hard time, not just losing fat, but keeping it off for good. And this feeling of starting over every Monday, every month, every new season is really coming from all or nothing thinking. You likely feel like you are either on track or off track. And when you're on track, you're crushing your goals, you're eating certain foods, you're going to the gym, you're hitting your calories. But when you're off track, all bets are off. The second you go over your calories or eat something that you feel like you quote unquote shouldn't, you throw in the towel. You're off track, so you might as well just keep going. Like, since you're already off track, you might as well just keep the ball rolling, because pretty soon you're gonna have to be on track again. So you just want to enjoy yourself, because once you're on track, you won't be able to eat certain foods or certain portions. So you really just want to be able to enjoy yourself now, and then you can start over tomorrow or Monday or whatever it might be. But the truth is that this all or nothing mentality is what's leading you to feel like you are always starting over all the time. Our brains love all or nothing thinking. Our brains are always trying to simplify things. And in order to do so, we're always trying to put things into boxes. So thinking of foods as good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, things I can eat, things I can't eat, being on plan, off plan, our brains love that. That is the normal direction that our brains want to go. But this all or nothing thinking has actually been a really strong predictor in weight regain. And that makes sense, right? Because when we're in this all or nothing thinking, that doesn't really translate very well to real life. Because if the second that we are faced with something that falls on that off plan list, if that's always leading you to throw in the towel, to overeat, to then punish yourself with additional cardio or whatever it might be, that's not going to work when these foods are coming up time and time again. So even though our brains naturally want to go towards this all or nothing thinking, having very black and white views when it comes to your health and fitness journey doesn't translate well to these real life scenarios. So in order to be successful long term, in order to stop this feeling of starting over, you have to develop a more flexible mindset. You have to be able to understand and recognize that foods aren't inherently good or bad, and there's a lot of success to be had in this middle ground. Because I'm sure you have felt this all or nothing thinking spiral before. Food is good or bad. You eat something that you have classified as bad. You feel feelings of shame or guilt. And in order to fix those feelings of shame or guilt, you go back to the restriction of only eating foods that are good. But then you eat a bad food and you overeat, which then leads to feelings of shame and guilt. You see how it is a never ending cycle, because you're trying to fix these, uncomfortable feelings of guilt and shame with the thing that got you to that guilt and shame in the first place. So all or nothing thinking, well, it's our natural place that our brains want to go. It's keeping you stuck. It's leading to this feeling that you are constantly starting and stopping, pressing pause, and then re-going again. And if you're going to be stuck in that cycle, it's going to be really hard to find long-term, consistent progress. Which is why, if that's important to you, if we don't want to always be starting over, it's really important that we start to train our brain to think more flexibly. We have to get off of this idea that food is good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, that we are on track or off track, and start to understand that when we're in this for life, there is no track. There should not be foods that you can or can't eat, and you shouldn't feel like you're messing up every time you're enjoying yourself. This looking at food as more flexible, this understanding that you're not messing up all the time, this recognizing that, you're really in this for life and it's not so black and white. This is going to be the mindset shift that stops you from always feeling like you're starting over. This eliminating this feeling of you messed up, you're over your calories, whatever it might be, is something that I really stress with my one-on-one online coaching clients, because it is so crucial to your long-term success. Like I said, this all or nothing thinking, this black and white thinking, is one of the biggest predictors of weight regain. So with my clients, I put a huge emphasis on ditching this all or nothing thinking, because I don't just want them to lose the weight. I want them to lose the weight and keep it off long term, which means you can't stay stuck in this start and stop mode. If you want to build a healthy life forever, You need to get into this more flexible mindset. You need to ditch the all or nothing thinking. So we can't only be looking at things as very black and white, good or bad, putting ourselves on these like timelines and we're on track, we're off track, we're always starting over. We really need to be able to realize that we're in this for life, and what matters is overall consistency over the course of our life. So we can't just look at one meal or one certain food. We have to realize that we're going to have moments where we're over our calories, or things didn't go as planned, or maybe we ate in a way that we didn't love. But we need to realize that that's okay. It doesn't mean that you completely messed up. It doesn't mean you ruined everything. And there's really no reason to throw in the towel. And being able to realize that and realize that we are just continuing on rather than starting over is a really powerful skill to have, because that's when you're going to be able to be so much more consistent overall. And that's what we're really after. Not short-term perfection, but long-term consistency. So the best way to ditch this feeling of starting over, being on or off track, is to ditch the all or nothing thinking. To start to have more of that flexible mindset around food and exercise, and realize that it's not about being perfect and putting these things in these really small boxes, but looking at the whole picture and understanding how you can still continue on even when you're not perfect. Really starting to look at this as a lifelong process. This one shift is going to up level your fat loss progress and really start to eliminate a lot of the guilt that you're feeling at the start of every week or every season. So remember that no matter what's happened the past few months, no matter where you're at this week, this season, this, new routine that you're finding, you're not starting over. You're just continuing on. And if you need help ditching this all or nothing thinking and figuring out how you can be more flexible with your mindset and be more flexible with how you're thinking about food and alcohol, you can apply to my one-on-one coaching in the show notes. If this is something you're struggling with, you are truly a perfect fit for my coaching program. And I would love to help you work through this all or nothing thinking so that ultimately you're able to see a lot more success long term. So thank you guys so much for being here. As always, thank you so much for listening. If this episode was helpful, if you have found yourself falling into that all or nothing thinking cycle, I would love to hear from you. Please shoot me a DM and let me know what you were thinking. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys soon, and I'll see you next week.